Hello everybody and welcome back to English with Lewis, and welcome to my longest ever video because I'm going to answer 100 conversation questions. Conversation questions that have been randomly generated by ChatGPT. Here I have my laptop next to me and I'm going to spend approximately 1 minute responding to each question. So if I were you, I'd put this video on in the background, practice your listening, and you can get to know much more about me related to all different topics and things about my life, my opinions. I haven't written down anything, so I'm going to be giving you all of these answers, basically just improvising. I'm going to be playing it by ear, which is, yeah, to improvise. So I hope you're ready. I hope you want to practice your English, learn new vocabulary, and, well, at the same time, improve your listening skills. So, without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to English with Lewis. Let's go! Number 1. What's your favorite way to spend a day off? My favorite way to spend a day off is honestly to wake up a little bit late to lie in. Then I always have a couple of coffees in the morning. So I'd have one at home, then have a shower, then go out for a walk and go for some brunch and a coffee. Then maybe do some kind of activity in the city, which could be going to the cinema. After that, I'd probably have some beers with my girlfriend, with my friends, maybe get a little bit drunk, but not too drunk. And I wouldn't stay out until late because nowadays I'm getting a little bit old. So I'd want to be in bed, tucked up by midnight. And that's probably how I'd spend a day off. Number 2, where did you grow up? Well, I grew up in West Yorkshire, specifically in a town called Bingley, which has a population of around about 20,000 people. And it's quite well connected because from Bingley you can get the train to Leeds and be in Leeds in 20 minutes. Then if you go to Leeds, you can be in Manchester in about 45 minutes from there. And Bingley is relatively rural, but not too rural. So you could go for a walk in the woods, along the hills. It's all very green. It's quite safe as well. Lots of friendly neighbours and neighbourhoods. And I would recommend Bingley as a place to grow up and raise a family because I had a fantastic childhood. So yeah, Bingley is where I grew up. Number 3, what type of music are you into? What type of music am I interested in? Well, I like a little bit of everything, to be honest. Just now I was checking my Spotify Wrapped, which is like a summary of all of the music you listen to during a year. And I do listen to more podcasts than music. I've never been that into music. I don't play any musical instruments, but I love kind of indie rock. I had a phase of R&B as well, so I like some kind of old-fashioned rap, but not modern rap. And then since studying languages and learning languages, I've always used music as a way to improve those languages. So I listen to some like flamenco, I listen to some French rap at the moment as well. So I have quite an eclectic taste, a varied taste of music, but I'm terrible at memorizing any lyrics. I'm a bit of a disaster with that. Number 4, what is the best holiday you ever took and why? Well, this is a difficult one because I've had a lot of great holidays. When I was growing up with my family, we first started out going to France on holiday, and then we switched and started going to Spain because in France the weather isn't guaranteed, because we went to the north of France near Normandy and Brittany, and we used to drive from Bingley, from Leeds, all the way down to Calais and then get a ferry across the channel. and then we'd stay in an apartment in France. But all of this was when I was quite young. The ones that I remember better is when we went to a town called Soller, or as an English person, I always said Sola, which is on the west coast of Mallorca. And we had amazing holidays there. But I'd probably say that my favorite holidays were as an adult, and basically me going abroad for a year with my girlfriend to Australia. This was an unforgettable experience because after that we traveled around Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand, and we were there for a couple of months with the money we had saved from working in Australia. So it was incredible, and if I could go back in time, I would go back to that year, for sure. Number 5, where's the next place on your travel bucket list and why? So a bucket list is like a list of things you want to do in your life. So the place that I'd really love to travel to, I've said it before, it is Colombia. I think Colombia is probably top of my travel bucket list at the moment because I know it's a huge country and it's a little bit safer than it used to be, apparently. And you have different types of landscapes. I speak Spanish. I'm not really keen on dancing, and I know that's a big thing in Colombia, but I'd love to experience what it's like. And I'd want to see what it's like in the north by the Caribbean, kind of in the south by the Pacific. I know there are volcanoes and mountains, the Amazon rainforest as well. I'd probably struggle with all of the creepy crawlies and the spiders and stuff like that, but no. Sometime soon, I'm going to go to Colombia. I can't wait. It's on my bucket list. Number 6, what are your hobbies and how did you get into them? Well, my main hobby is probably football. Nowadays, I don't play that often because I always seem to get injured, but I still love watching football, speaking about football, and also playing like fantasy football or maybe betting on the football results. So apart from language learning and teaching and making videos, I'd say football is my biggest hobby. But I'm also into running. I've done a few marathons previously. And cooking and eating. Because I don't try elaborate dishes, but I do like to cook because I love eating. And I'd like to improve my cooking as well, so maybe this is something that I can develop in the near future. Number 7, what was your favorite age growing up? I have a bad memory. I don't remember exactly what I did when I was 6, 7, 12, 18, etc. But I think the best age when I was growing up was probably in my late teens. So, I don't know, yeah, when I was like 16, 17, 18, because you're starting to become an adult, you're starting to have more and more independence, and you're experiencing so many things for the first time. You have your first kiss, the first time you get drunk, the first time you go out without your parents, and you have all of these new experiences that are really exciting because you've never done them, but at the same time, you're very young, and you don't have the obligations of earning money, paying taxes, all of these nightmares that we have to deal with as adults. So yeah, I'd say my favorite age growing up was probably around 16 or 17. Number 8, what was the last thing you read digitally or in print? First of all, I don't really read at all. And with future questions, I'll probably mention it again. But some things that I do try to read are just like the headlines on the news. So when I'm bored between classes or I just want to kill a little bit of time, I often go on bbc.com and then first I'll see the headlines from the main national and international news, which is usually quite depressing. So I don't actually want to read the whole article. And then I'll click to like the subheading of sport. And if I don't watch a football match or rugby match or cricket match, I like to just scan what happened to kind of keep up to date with what's going on. But yeah, physical books, it's been a long time. Number 9, would you say you're more of an introvert or an extrovert? My girlfriend sometimes describes me as, what was it? A lazy extrovert, because I'm a little bit socially lazy, especially as I'm getting older. Usually when I finish work, I don't want to go out and socialize. I don't want to go out and drink or anything like that. I'm quite happy, sometimes even doing work or just sitting on my sofa, watching TV, just kind of lazing around and bumming out. So I'm quite lazy in social scenarios. At the weekend it's a little bit different, but during the week I never really go out. But I'd say that I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, because I think the difference is that if you're an extrovert, you get energy from seeing people and being with people. And if you're an introvert, being with people kind of saps your energy. It takes it out of you. And this is what happens to me. It's also the fact that usually I teach 4 or 5 hours per day. So then when I finish my classes, having spoken so much, I just want to zip my mouth and be quiet, to be honest. Number 10, what is your favorite ice cream topping? Again, I don't really order toppings with ice cream. I do love ice cream, and I love like white magnums. I love kind of caramel or dulce de leche ice cream. If I have the choice between a tub and a cone, I would usually get a cone, because then you've got something like crunchy to be able to eat as well. And I prefer chocolatey flavors rather than fruity flavors. But with the typical Mr. Whippy that comes out of a machine, I like to have a flake, and maybe some sprinkles, just so you have that crackle in your mouth. But no, usually I don't order toppings with my ice cream. But when I do, hey, chocolate. Chocolate's always good. Number 11, would you rather travel back in time to meet your, to meet your ancestors, or travel into the future to meet your descendants? I think without doubt, this one's easy for me. I would rather travel back in time to see my great-grandfather, my great-great-great-grandma, and all of these great-great-great ancestors, because it'd be interesting if they look like me, or if they speak like me. Of course, different generations, so everything would be really different. But I'm much more curious to see what my ancestors are like than my descendants, because I don't know if I'll have children. And if I do have children, I don't know what the world will be like. And I don't really want to find out, because I'm a bit of a pessimist with this. I'm a bit glass half full. Number 12, would you rather lose all of your money or all of your pictures? This is a difficult question, actually. I'm not rich, I'm not loaded, I'm not minted, I don't have loads of cash. I have a little bit of savings, of course, because you never know what might happen. So I'd be devastated if I lost all of my money, of course. With pictures, like baby photos and photos of growing up, to be honest, I like seeing them. For my birthday, usually my mum sends me an old photo of me when I was a little kid or a little baby, and it always brings a smile to my face. It cheers me up. But I think I'd rather lose all of my pictures, because, yeah, it's interesting, but money's important. We cannot understate the importance of money. Number 13, would you rather have invisibility or flight, or be able to fly? I think this one's easy for me. I would rather fly than be invisible, because being invisible, the things that you could do with this superpower are all a little bit shady, a little bit suspicious, like stealing from people, like robbing a bank, like, I don't know, spying on people. I'm not that interested in doing these things. I think it would weigh on my conscience. So yeah, I'd rather fly. Flying, imagine the feeling of flying around. I've got my balcony in front of me and I could just go phew and fly over to England. Why not? So yeah, for sure, I'd rather fly. Number 14, would you rather, let me check, live where it only snows or where the temperature never falls below 100 degrees? So this is American, so 100 degrees Fahrenheit I think is like 30 degrees Celsius or something similar to that. So, snow is beautiful, but if it's snowing all the time, it would get a little bit tiring, a little bit boring, and I'd be fed up of the snow. I get really excited when it snows here because it snows, what, 2 weeks per year? Something along those lines. So while I do sweat a lot when it's hot, if I had a swimming pool and air conditioning and maybe I lived next to the beach and next to the sea, I'd rather it be like 32, 33, 35 degrees Celsius every day because I think you'd get used to it and you have more possibilities of things to do when it's hot than when it's really, really cold. As long as it's not like 50 degrees and it's like 35, then I'd prefer the hot weather. Number 15, would you always rather be slightly late or super early? I think I'd always rather be slightly late, just a little bit late, because there is this concept of being fashionably late, because you never want to be the first person at a party. If it's with work, then you do want to make a good impression and be on time, make sure you're punctual, but with parties and social gatherings and stuff like that, if you always arrive early, you're like looking around wondering what to do. So as long as it's just a little bit, just slightly late, I would rather be late than too early. Number 16, would you rather give up your smartphone or your computer? This one, actually, I was going to say it was easy, but I'm not so sure anymore. I probably use my computer more when I'm working because I teach my classes using my laptop. Here it is, of course. But I also use my phone all the time. I'm recording this on my phone. I record all of my videos on my phone. Of course, I could buy a camera, and I probably should buy a camera, but then editing on my laptop as well, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit more effort. Maybe it's easier, but it's more effort. And I could teach my classes on my phone as well, and I could also buy an additional keyboard, so then I could type everything. So yeah, I would rather live with my smartphone and get rid of my computer. That's my final decision. Number 17, would you rather live without AC and heating or live without social media? This is a no-brainer. It's an easy decision, an obvious decision. I need social media. It's kind of my job at the moment. So it's basically, would you rather suffer with cold weather and hot weather or have a job? You know what I'm going to say. I would rather live without heating and AC, air conditioning, and I could keep using social media, which I include YouTube as a social network, along with TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn and Facebook, all of this stuff. Number 18, would you rather become someone else or just be you? Well, I'd like to spend a day in someone else's shoes. It would be amazing to, for one day, be, I don't know, Lionel Messi. And then the next day I could be Donald Trump. I don't personally like him, but he has an interesting life, let's admit it. But I wouldn't want to do this forever. I don't want to wish my life away. I kind of like my life. I would like to have my own house and more money and work less and all of these different things. But other than that, I'm quite content with the way everything is going. So yeah, if it was forever, I would rather just be me. Number 19, would you rather be free or be totally safe? This is a bit of a strange question, but basically I could be free, which I am free. Like, I can do what I want when I want, as long as I don't break the law. And I am pretty safe most of the time as well. So to be honest, this question's a bit rubbish, if you ask me. I'd rather be free. Like, if I'm taking a risk and I die, that's life. We all die at some point. So I'd rather have my freedom because I value my freedom, and I think it's very important for everyone to be free. So that is my response. Number 20, I'm going to read it because it's quite a long one. Would you rather have free Wi-Fi wherever you go or be able to drink unlimited free coffee at any coffee shop? Wi-Fi is important, but if we're in a world with data, I don't mind paying for the data, and I need the data. And if I'm at home, I have free Wi-Fi anyway. So, coffee's nice. I love coffee. I have coffee 3 times a day, more or less. And if I could go out for a coffee without spending any money for every coffee I have, that'd be interesting. So yeah, I'd rather have unlimited free coffee at any coffee shop. Delicious. Number 21. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would you choose? There are lots of people that I could choose from. It depends. I'm not sure how far I would want to go back. I'd probably still want to relate to people. Thinking about musicians, it'd be quite interesting maybe to have dinner with John Lennon or with Bob Marley or with Elvis. These are some names that come to mind randomly, and it'd be nice just to ask them about their life, what it was like back then, the crazy kind of parties they went to, the unusual people that they met, and I'd just ask questions as if it was an interview. I wouldn't want them to ask me anything. I'd be quite happy just asking and listening. So between those 3, let's say John Lennon. Why not? He's English. Number 22. If you could play any musical instrument and master it without any effort, what instrument would you choose? I would choose, I think, I like the piano. I like the way it looks, that if people are playing the piano, it's very elegant, very smart, very formal. It's kind of mesmerizing as well. But I think it's much more versatile to play the guitar, because you can play a guitar wherever you go. All you need is a guitar. And it'd be nice to play acoustic and then also play electric. So yeah, if I could master any musical instrument, I would probably choose to master the guitar. It's the most popular, but I think for good reason. Number 23. If you could start a charity, what would it be? What type of charity would it be? There are a lot of problems with our world at the moment, a lot of things that need to be solved, but I guess that, it's difficult to choose between an animal-related charity or something related to children, because I think they are much more vulnerable and helpless. With adults, we can usually kind of help ourselves a little bit more. We have more independence and freedom to do this. So I would choose to set up a charity which would be maybe related to animals and the climate. So I'd be trying to maybe rewild the world and put different animals into new forests and rainforests to try and make the world a wilder place, to reduce fossil fuels and try to prevent global warming and climate change getting much worse, but at the same time trying to make sure that animals weren't being tortured and killed, so we could have a lovely, green, wild planet. Number 24. If you could write a book, what genre would you write it in? I think I mentioned earlier, I'm not that into reading. I'm not that into like fiction or non-fiction. I don't have the patience for any of these things, but one of the books that I've read, which is a trilogy, is The Lord of the Rings. And while I much prefer the films, the books are also interesting, and I like fantasy. I like to imagine myself in this world. It's quite exciting. So if I had to write a book, the genre I would choose would probably be fantasy. If not fantasy, maybe science fiction. Number 25. If you could live in any country, where would you live? I think if you have the money, maybe the best place to live, or at least the best place where I've lived, because of where my family are from, England, is Spain. Because Spain is close, you have great weather, the people are really friendly, the food is really good, all of the cities are absolutely stunning, they are beautiful. My girlfriend is Spanish, so I get on very well with her, her friends, and her family. So if I could live in any country, I would live in Spain, and I probably will live in Spain in the future. However, if my family were from Australia or New Zealand, I'd probably choose Australia or New Zealand. But given how long it takes to travel from Europe to this part of the world, it's a no-go for me. Number 26. If you could have any animal as a pet, which one would you choose? I would choose a dog. Simple. Of course I'd choose a dog. Dogs are easily the best pet. They are a man's best friend. I could also say a cat, but cats can be a little bit boring sometimes. They just lie around waiting for you to stroke them and feed them. They are meow, meowing. And cats are adorable, but I think dogs are cuter. They kind of love you more, and you can walk with them as well, so you can do activities with them. I think it's clear. Come on. Dogs are clearly the best pet, but let me know. Do you agree? Dogs or cats or other? Let me know in the comments. Number 27. If you could change one thing about your past, what would it be? If I could change one thing about my past, I wouldn't go to university, because now I'm in debt. I owe money to the UK government for going to university in Liverpool and studying languages. But if I had known, I would have just moved to these countries and learned independently, because I don't think you need to go to classes or university or a school to learn languages. I think you can just do it by immersing yourself in a culture. So yeah, if I could change anything about my past, I'd save myself all of the debt that I'm in at the moment, and I'd just travel and learn languages. It'd be a win-win situation. Number 28. If you could eat just one food for the rest of your life, which food would you choose? This question, I guess, is open to interpretation, but I'm between lots of things with carbs, basically. Pasta dishes, pizzas, sandwiches, rice dishes. I need carbs. That is the important thing. But if I really had to choose, I'd probably go with pasta, provided that I could have pasta with all of the different toppings and sauces, because then you can still have variety. And I have pasta every 2 or 3 days. It's always delicious. I never get bored of it. I don't think I'd get bored of pizza either, but having pizza all the time, I think I'd put on weight and I'd get a little bit fat. Maybe with pasta too, but it's tasty. Number 29. If, let me check, you could be a character in any film, which one would you be? I think I'm going to mention Lord of the Rings again. I mentioned it earlier, and I think if I could be a character in any film, I would be Aragorn, because he's a boss, he's amazing, he's easily the best character in Lord of the Rings, And yeah, he has the perfect kind of story during the trilogy. He's helping people, he's nice, he lives longer than others, he falls in love, he becomes like the king. Aragorn, please, I want to be you. Number 30. If you could have any author, living or dead, to write your biography, who would it be? Again, I don't know a lot about authors, to be honest, but I'd change my life and make it scary, and I'd have Stephen King writing my biography, and I'd tell him that he can use some creative liberty, some creative freedom, and change my life to make it a scary, scary book. And then it'd be interesting to see what he wrote in the end. But I guess if he's writing my biography, I'd probably be dead already, so Number 31. What are you passionate about? I said earlier, I'm passionate about football. I'm passionate about languages as well. And I'm a little bit worried with languages at the moment because I see all of these translations and interpretations done by artificial intelligence. And if you've followed me for a while, you know that I like AI, and I'm using ChatGPT right now for all of these questions. But I'm still a bit concerned that people won't learn languages anymore in the future because we won't really need to. So I'm hoping that people will do it for the love of the language, because I'm passionate about this, and I'm passionate about work and I guess entrepreneurship as well, and creation, having ideas and creating things and being productive. I guess it might sound a bit toxic in terms of work, but I like work and I like creating stuff. I'm passionate about this. Number 32, what's your favorite holiday? I think with this, it's referring to not holidays that I've done, but holidays during the year. Again, ChatGPT being American, and Americans refer to holidays as Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Halloween, etc. Out of all these, my favorite holiday is easily, hands down, Christmas. Christmas is beautiful. If you have a white Christmas, it's even more beautiful. And it's lovely to get together with family. You eat a lot, you give presents, you go to some nice cozy pubs, you catch up with your friends, and you don't work either. Christmas is always a good time to watch the football in pubs, knowing that, I don't work until the 2nd of January or something like this. So Christmas, number 1. Number 33, related to that, what's your favourite season and why? It depends where you live. Because in Seville, in Spain, my favourite season is spring or autumn, because it's basically like summer everywhere else. And then in summer, it's boiling, it's scorching, it's roasting, it's sweltering, it's too hot. So I'm not keen on summer in Seville. But in England, Belgium, where I live at the moment, summer is definitely better than other seasons. I don't mind winter, but I've become a little bit of a hermit. I stay at home a lot more. I don't do a lot. It gets dark really, really quickly. It might even get dark whilst I'm recording this video. So yeah, summer is number 1, unless you already live in a very hot country. Number 34 is simple. Coffee or tea? Coffee. For me, coffee wins easily. Coffee is tastier. It wakes you up more. It gives you more energy. Now there are lots of coffee shops all over the world as well, serving really good quality coffee. I don't mind tea, but I'm not the typical Brit that has loads of cup of teas. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's all right, but I can take it or leave it. But with coffee, if I didn't have coffee, I would suffer a lot. Number 35, do you think people can control their own destiny? No, I don't think we can control our destiny 100%. There are always things that are out of our hands that we cannot control. But what you can control is your hard work and your values and how you treat other people. So I think we should all do what is in our hands that we can actually be sure that we can manage, like working hard, treating people well. And then if you do all of these things, you never know. You might get lucky, and then destiny might be in your favor, and you can maybe win the lottery because of this. But nah, I don't think we can control our own destiny. There are a lot of things that are bigger, stronger than us, that maybe you're lucky, maybe you're unlucky. Number 36. This is a deep one. Do you think all individuals are truly equal? We should be. All individuals should be truly equal, 100% equal, and be treated like that, but the reality is not like that. First of all, men and women historically have not been equal, and people living in one country compared to another country are not equal. If you're born in the US or you're born in, I don't know, Eritrea, your chances of success and wealth and reaching your dreams are going to be completely different. So it should be in an ideal world that everybody is equal and they have equal opportunities, but it's not the case, and I don't think it will ever be the case, sadly. 37. What are some of your long-term goals? I don't write down any of my goals, my objectives, my targets, my aims, but of course I'm recording this video on my YouTube channel. I post content, educational content, on a daily basis, so it's clear that it's one of my aims to be financially independent thanks to something that I enjoy doing, and if I can help other people at the same time, then it's a win-win situation. So yeah, my main goal is basically to be happy in my job, to keep growing, keep helping people, to be financially independent, and I'd like to start a family as well. I'd like to have children. So let's see if it can happen. And it sounds like there's an ambulance outside my house, so I guess I'll pause now. Number 38. What is the most useful thing you own? Easy. My phone. My phone is the most useful thing I own. I use it far too much, far too many hours in the day, but usually when I'm using my phone, I'm doing productive things. I'm reading the news, editing videos, posting videos, responding to messages, comments, chatting to my family. It's easy. Nowadays, until there is a new technological breakthrough, our phones are our most useful device, I think. Number 39. What is your favorite thing about your current job? My job is a little bit unusual because my main job is with Teachify. I teach classes, I interview for new teachers, I train existing teachers, do observations, but I teach a lot as well. And I think the most interesting thing about my job, the thing that I like the most, is when I see that I have a good group of students, because I prefer teaching groups than one-to-ones, and I see that they connect, they get on well together, and I notice that over the time, over classes, that they are progressing and advancing together. And that feeling is really rewarding. It's what makes you think yeah, I love teaching. Number 40. What is your least favorite mode of transportation? I don't like buses. I don't like buses. I don't like trains. I don't like trams. I don't like any kinds of public transport, to be honest, but I don't have a car either. I don't really drive. I can drive, but it's only when I'm renting a car or using my mum's or my mother-in-law's. So I don't like a lot of transport in general. It stresses me out being close to people, having to stop and wait. It's a pain in the arse, to be honest. But I'm also a little bit afraid of planes if there's a lot of turbulence. So the idea of getting in a helicopter, it scares me. So I've never done it, but I'd say that if somebody asked me to get in a helicopter tomorrow, I don't think I'd do it. I'd be too much of a coward. So a bus is a mode of transportation that I don't like, but I think a helicopter would be even worse. Number 41, what is your favorite movie or TV show? I think my number one TV show, and it might be the same for many people, is Game of Thrones. I was hooked. I was so into it. I was obsessed with it. But it's true that as they continued developing and making the series, it got worse and worse. I don't know if you've seen that image of like a horse being drawn really, really well for the vast majority, and then at the end, it's just like a little scribble. This is basically what they did with Game of Thrones, and they ruined it a little bit at the end, but overall, the experience for the viewer was incredible. It was amazing. So Game of Thrones, I think, is probably my favorite series of all time. Number 42, who is your favorite author? Again, we're back to books. I don't really like them. I'm not that into books. Guys, if you have any recommendations for books that you think I would enjoy, let me know in the comments, because it's always a bit of an effort for me to read, and as a result, I can't really tell you who my favorite author is. So, I don't know. Who's your favorite author? Number 43, what is the last movie you went to? The last film that you saw in the cinema? I briefly saw this question earlier, so I was thinking about my response. And I think the last one I went to see in the cinema was actually Dune 2. And I went in Brussels to a really nice cinema. It was a bit of a rip-off. It was a bit expensive, but it was good. And yeah, it was a good film. I like it. It's nothing extraordinary. It's not absolutely incredible, but it's an enjoyable film. I'd give it like a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. So yeah, I think Dune 2 was the last film I saw in the cinema. Number 44, what kind of art do you enjoy most? You guys are going to think that I'm very uncultured, and you're probably right, that I'm not that into books, nor art. Like, I don't particularly enjoy going to art museums or art galleries. I'll go if I have to, but all of this stuff is a little bit lost on me. I don't really understand it. And with like Picasso, for example, I see all of these lines and colors, and I just don't really get it. Like, it's something that a child could make. But that's my controversial opinion. So I'd say that the type of art that I enjoy most is architecture, because I love walking around different towns and cities and seeing old buildings, and I wonder like, wow, these buildings are so beautiful. Why don't we make buildings like that nowadays? It's such a shame that all of the modern buildings and skyscrapers aren't that pretty. So I appreciate buildings when they are pretty, and I count this as art. Number 45, do you play video games? And if so, what are your favorites? Nowadays, I don't play video games. I don't have a console, because it's not that it's a waste of time, but I feel like I should be spending that time doing other things that are more productive. Like this, for example. And the games that I liked growing up were first Pokemon, absolutely loved it on my Game Boy and stuff like that. I also enjoyed Spyro. Then as I got older, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, GTA. But yeah, in recent years, I haven't really played any video games. Maybe I have been playing some Football Manager on my laptop because I don't need a console for that. But I'd say the games that I most enjoyed were Pokemon, to be honest. Number 46, do you prefer books or movies? You know my answer. I prefer movies, films, without a shadow of a doubt. Next question. Number 47, it is, what's the last book you read? ChatGPT really likes books. God, so annoying. The last book I read, it was Lord of the Rings. And I read it in Spanish because I bought myself a Kindle with the intention of getting into reading, because reading is an amazing way to improve your language skills. If you read in English, round of applause, well done, because it's great to learn some advanced words and phrases. You will pick up some idioms, expressions, and also improve your grammar at the same time. And for these reasons, I wanted to start reading in Spanish, but it just felt like I was doing homework. It wasn't enjoyable. And because I wasn't enjoying it, I was like dreading the moment of reading. It was like, oh no, I don't want to read. So I haven't read anything in the last like 3 years. I haven't read any books, at least, in the last 3 years, because I finished Lord of the Rings 3 years ago, more or less. And I don't think I'm going to read any other books anytime soon. But maybe I'll change my mind. Number 48. It is, what's your favorite board game? I think my favorite board game is probably Monopoly. It's a classic. You know, you have the board, you have your counters, you have the dice, you roll the dice, you buy different properties, then you can build houses, hotels. When you pass go, you get another £200 or euros or whatever it is. And yeah, I've played a lot of Monopoly in my life. People always cheated and they bended the rules and broke the rules, but it was all fun and games. Hehe. Number 49, this is much better. It is, what's your favourite sports team? Come on. Leeds. Leeds. So Leeds United Football Club is easily my favourite sports team. I always listen to podcasts about the matches. Nowadays, I watch the matches less and less because I get a bit tense and a bit nervous, and I suffer a little bit too much watching Leeds because we're not that good. We lose a lot of matches. So yeah, I love Leeds. Leeds are my favourite team. That's never going to change, but I'm used to suffering. And hopefully things change in the future and we'll get promoted again to the Premier League and then qualify for Europe and then win the Champions League. You know, I can dream, right? Number 50, what song always gets you on the dance floor? Whew! I don't really dance that much, but recently I've started dancing a little bit more and doing some karaoke, and I think a classic is Queen. Any Queen song is a banger, a tune. If they play Queen, everybody gets up, you start grabbing your imaginary microphone, you start singing, dancing, having a good time. So yeah, I think that Queen is probably an artist that gets me off my chair or the sofa and makes me start dancing. We're halfway there. Number 51. Do you exercise regularly? And what kind of exercises, activities do you do? Yes, at the moment I'm actually in a good kind of routine with exercise. A month ago I did the Brussels Marathon And during that time and since then, I've been going to the gym on a daily basis during the week, not at the weekend. And with this, I do some cardio. So I'll go on the static bike, the cross trainer, I'll do the stair machine, and I'll usually spend about half of my time doing cardio, and the other half of my time is doing weights. So I'll usually do one exercise for each muscle group. So I'll start with chest, then back, then shoulders, then biceps, then triceps, and then abs. And that is, for me, a complete workout in roughly an hour. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm motivated at the moment. Number 52, are you a planner or are you more spontaneous? I would say that I'm kind of in the middle, to be honest, because I don't like to be very, very organized. I don't like to organize everything way in advance because it's like, come on, why am I doing that now? That's a problem for future Lewis. So I don't plan that much, but I'm not that spontaneous either. For example, if I don't have a plan for this weekend and somebody sends me a message Friday night at 8, 9 o'clock and it's like, Lewis, we're out having a beer, come join us. At that time, I've probably already had dinner or I'm about to have dinner. I'm getting comfortable. I'm preparing myself mentally, physically to just stay on my sofa. So I'm going to turn down the offer and say no. So I'm neither spontaneous nor a planner. Somewhere in the middle. Number 53. How often do you try new things? I don't try that many new things anymore. I kind of know what I like, and I like routine as well, so I often repeat the same things over and over again, but there is one thing that I tried kinda recently, back in September, and it was paddle, which is now trending all over the world. Paddle tennis, it's also known as, and it's kind of a little bit like squash, a little bit like tennis, a little bit like ping pong. You play with 4 people in total. It's fun. It's not that difficult from the beginning, depending on who you are playing with or against. But yeah, I went to play paddle a couple of nights ago and I enjoyed it. I sucked. I wasn't very good, but I'd like to keep playing because it's fun and I see that more and more people are playing. So it's a good little social activity that I could do to keep me in shape at the same time. Number 54, are you a clean or messy person? I would say I'm a clean person. Relatively clean. I never leave dirty dishes in the sink. If I see clear dirt, I will clean it. But I'm a little bit untidy because sometimes when I take my clothes off before I get a shower, I'll throw them on the floor. And when I'm collecting my clothes after they've been drying, then I'll sometimes just roll them up and throw them in my wardrobe. So I'm definitely not as clean as I could be, but I don't think I'm unclean. So again, in the middle. My girlfriend would probably say that I'm a little bit of a mess. I'm a bit of a disaster. But I disagree. I'm not that bad. I'm relatively clean. Number 55. What skills would you like to learn and why? I would like to learn to play the guitar, first of all. I would like to improve the languages that I already speak because I speak Spanish to a more or less fluent level. But then my French, Italian, and Portuguese, they're all a bit forgotten, to be honest, because I can have basic conversations in these languages. I can understand a lot when it's written, sometimes when it's spoken, but I get stuck whenever I want to speak them. So that's probably something I should work on, but priorities. I don't have time, and I prioritize creating my own content rather than looking at other people's content to improve my other languages. Number 56. What is the best part of your daily routine? I think my favorite part of my daily routine is probably when I finish work and I switch off for the night and I can clear my mind and not worry about anything else, and I start watching TV and just zoning out. This is probably my favorite part of the day during the week. Another part that I enjoy is going to the gym and doing exercise, because I know I always feel so much better after doing it. But at the weekend, on Friday, for example, I love the feeling of finishing work for the weekend. And that doesn't mean I switch off completely, because I'm still creating content sometimes and doing that kind of stuff or thinking about ideas. But just knowing that you don't have to set an alarm the next couple of days is bliss. It's incredible. Number 57, which day of the week do you like most and why? I just mentioned Fridays. Fridays are amazing, but Saturdays are better. Come on, Saturdays are clearly better because you have the entire day. You have the whole day to do whatever you want. So yeah, Saturdays are the best. You have complete freedom. And if you want to go out and see friends, you go out and see friends. If you just want to chill and watch football, you can do that too. The possibilities are endless. And you still know that the next day, Sunday, you don't have to do anything, because my Sundays are complete rest days. They are the only day during the week when I really don't do anything productive at all. It's amazing. Number 58, what is your idea of a perfect evening? Again, I kind of mentioned it, that my perfect evening is having a lovely meal and chilling out and watching TV and getting an early night's sleep. I know, I'm only 32, but I sound like a very old man. But another plan that I really enjoy is just going out for dinner. If I finish work and I go for a walk, or maybe I go to the gym, and then after that I go out for dinner, have some glasses of wine, eat some nice meat, for example, or maybe pizza, who knows. This is always a good plan, and in particular, if I'm in Spain, going out for tapas, in the nice weather, seeing the sunset. Oh, okay, yeah, that's my answer. Going out for tapas, watching the sunset at the same time, and having some ice cream after. Oof, what I would give to do that right now. Number 59, how do you manage stress? I think my way of managing stress, and usually I'm not that stressed, but when I feel a little bit stressed, what I do is go for a walk, if the weather is good. If not, I'll just do some exercise, or maybe I'll listen to some music as well. And I think the combination of music and exercise is a winning formula, because if I'm stressed, I don't usually want to speak about the stress. I don't want to engage in a conversation with anyone. I just want to do my thing, tell people to leave me alone so I can go for a walk, be at one with my thoughts whilst listening to music, and that'll help to de-stress me. Number 60, what do you think of tattoos and why? Well, I don't mind them. I don't have any tattoos. When I was like 18, I remember thinking about getting tattoos, and one of my considerations was to get an entire sleeve, because I told myself at the time, like, it's all or nothing. So I had the idea that I had to either get lots and lots of tattoos or zilch, zero tattoos. And in the end, there was nothing that I really wanted. So I'm not against tattoos. I think they can look nice, but I didn't have any clear ideas for what I wanted to get. So in the end, I thought, well, if I don't know, what's the point? Why should I bother getting any tattoos? And to this day, I still haven't got any. Number 61, what would you do if you won the lottery? We have these hypothetical questions again. if I won the lottery, it depends how much, but let's say €1,000,000, I would buy 2 houses. And I think that would be about the right amount of money. I'd probably buy a beach flat or a beach house somewhere in Cadiz in Spain, and then I'd buy another house wherever I'm living at the time. If it's in Brussels, I'd buy a house in Brussels because it's always a good investment, and that would mean that I wouldn't need to pay my rent, which is a lot of money, so I could save more money all the time. And with any money that might be left over, I'd go on a really long holiday to Colombia. So that would be my plan. If I won 1,000,000, 2 houses, a big trip, and spend less money in the future because I wouldn't need to pay rent. Number 62, what would you do if you were invisible for a day? If I were invisible for a day, I would, I wouldn't spy on people because I don't think that's very nice. And to be honest, I think what I would do is steal. I think I'd steal from a bank. I'd rob a bank because the banks, they already have a lot of money, you know. They're not suffering. They're always recording higher and higher profits. And if I had this superpower, it would be silly not to use it, right? So I'd rob a bank, take €1,000,000 and buy 2 houses and go on a long trip to Colombia. All of it, it's working out. My plan, it's working. Number 63. What would you do if you could travel into space? Now, knowing that I'm afraid of flying and helicopters, I don't think I would want to travel into space. Like, can you imagine the stress, the nerves before you did it, knowing how potentially dangerous it could be? And then if you go to space and there is an issue, you're lost in gravity. There's maybe no way of getting home. It is a death sentence. So if I could travel into space, I would say no, I don't want to travel into space. Unless the world was really going to be destroyed completely, I would stay on planet Earth and I'd be happy like that because I'm not that adventurous anymore. And I think I would be okay if I don't see the moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, all of these planets. I'm not that curious. It's fine. I'd stay here. Number 64. What would you do if you could be president for a day? Prime Minister for a day? If I could be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for a day, I think I would see if it's possible to reverse Brexit. And it would divide opinion, but I think nowadays there are probably more people in the United Kingdom who would be in favour of rejoining the European Union than people who wouldn't want to. So if I had to pick one idea, one thing that I'd want to do, I would do that. I would try to rejoin the EU and make it a stronger place for everybody. You can tell I live in Brussels, right? But yeah, I think that would be my first and most obvious action that I would do. I would rejoin the EU. Number 65, very similar. What would you change if you ruled the world? I think in this case what I would change is I would abduct all of the multi-billionaires. I'd kidnap them and take all of their money. It sounds illegal and it sounds wrong, but being a billionaire is immoral and unethical. So you might not agree with me. That's fine. Let me know in the comments. No problem. I'm a capitalist too, but to a certain extent. Come on. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, there is no reason for them to be so rich, and their money could help end poverty and hunger around the world and make the world a better place. Just let them keep, hell, even half of their money. And then we could take the rest of their money to put it in a big bank to solve all of the world's problems, because they have enough money. So what I would do is, either in a nice way or by force, I would make sure that multi billionaires gave away the vast majority of their money. Number 66, what would you do if you had $1 million? I've already answered this, but an alternative idea, instead of buying 2 houses and going on a big trip, would be to invest in a bar, or maybe a couple of different businesses. I would always want to continue what I'm doing at the moment with my YouTube and content, but maybe I'd also make a company with English with Lewis trips. So then I'd invite people to come on a trip around London or York, New York, Sydney. We'd go traveling together for a week, immersively learning English. And of course, I wouldn't want to lose money with this, but it would enable me to do this kind of trip, which right now would be impossible. So maybe I'd do that, and I'd open a bar, because I think that's a lot of people's wish and dream as well, to have your own bar and then invite your friends there, have your food, your beer, have a little catch up, a little chat in your bar. Oh, it sounds like such a nice life, doesn't it? 67. What would you do if you could live forever? I don't think I'd want to live forever, because it would be sad to see all of your relatives getting older and older and passing away whilst you're still maybe looking young and continuing to live a full life. So that would be really sad. It would be really depressing. I don't know whether I would be able to live with it, because if I have children and grandchildren and I saw as they died and I continued living, it wouldn't be very nice. I don't think anyone should want to do this. Like, living forever is not cool, unless everybody could live forever. And in that case, I'd just have lots of different lives and spend 10 years in Colombia, 10 years in Brazil, 10 years in China, 10 years in Kenya, and so on and so forth. Number 68. What would you do if you found a time machine so you could travel in time? Well, I'd go back in time, as I said earlier, rather than ahead in time, into the future. And I'd want to see what it was like during the Ice Age and when the dinosaurs were here. That would be so cool to see dinosaurs, as long as you were protected and you could click your fingers and go back to present day. But yeah, it'd be so cool to see what each time period was like. The Romans, the Egyptians, the Tudors, the Victorians, the World War I, World War II, just to have an idea, but not to stay there. Because nowadays, I think our lives are much more comfortable than they ever have been in the past. So I'd continue to live in the present, but I'd love to just have a look and see what other eras looked like. Number 69. What would you do if you were stranded on a desert island? You were trapped on a desert island. It would be difficult to accept, and I wouldn't give up in the beginning. I would try to make some signs to try to grab people's attention. But at the same time, you would need to find a source of fresh water so you wouldn't die of thirst. You'd need to start fishing or hunting or gathering plants or berries, stuff like that. You would need to prepare yourself to be there for a long time by finding the vital things you need to survive. And then I'd continue trying to start fires and make sure that people can see that I'm there. So one day, hopefully, fingers crossed, they rescue me. But it'd be tough. Number 70. What would you do if you could switch lives for anyone? Number 70. What would you do if you could switch lives with anyone for a day? I think I would switch lives with... I'd want to be a footballer. Yeah, I love football. So, who is the best footballer at the moment? It's a little bit difficult to say. It could be Mbappe, maybe not. It could be Haaland, maybe not. It's not as clear as it used to be with Messi and Ronaldo. But I wouldn't really want to change my nationality, but I'd like to be in Spain. So I would be Jude Bellingham for a day. And I would play at the Bernabeu, and I'd score goals, and I'd be leading the team. So yeah, I'd see what it's like to be a footballer for a day. Jude. Number 71. Now we're on to some deep questions. The first one is, what do you think happens after we die? Ugh. Honestly, I don't think anything happens. I don't believe in the afterlife, or at least there's no scientific evidence to prove that there is a life after we die, which is why I believe in making the most of the life that we have and trying to live as many experiences as possible and be happy with what you do. I'd like to think that a life after death exists and we are reincarnated into other human beings or animals. It would be cool to be reincarnated into my dog and then I could see what life is like as a dog. But yeah, I'm not very hopeful with this, but hopefully there is life after death. Number 72. What do you think about the existence of aliens? An alien is defined as life outside of the Earth. So I do think that aliens exist because there are many galaxies in our different solar systems. So for sure, there is life somewhere out there. There must be. But the distances are so big that it's very difficult for civilizations, humanities to be able to contact each other. Maybe this will get easier as science progresses and technology progresses further, and we might be able to meet different aliens, which it would be cool, maybe scary, but it'd be cool. But yeah, I'm sure there is some kind of life in our solar system as well. We just haven't been able to explore it and find it yet. But it probably doesn't look like us, and it probably doesn't look like the aliens we imagine. It's maybe just plants, and that counts as life. Alien plants. Number 73. What makes someone a hero? A hero, I guess, is someone that is admired by many people. Maybe not even many people. Maybe a hero is just someone who is admired, someone who is looked up to. If you look up to someone, you admire them. And a hero could be a mum who is a very good mum. That mum is a hero. My mum is a hero. My dad is a hero as well because he's a really nice guy and he's always treated us really well. So that is a basic way of thinking about what a hero is. But I guess it's more like someone who is admired by thousands of people who did something heroic during their lives to achieve some crazy feats, to save people's lives, to improve people's lives. So there are many kinds of heroes and superheroes as well. Number 74. What is the true meaning of love? Well, there is romantic love and family love, friendship love. There are different types of love, but here let's focus on romantic love. And I think it is someone who makes you happy. Someone who makes you happy, that you want to spend the rest of your life with them, that they complete you, that when you're not with them, you miss them and you want to be with them. If you imagine your life without this person, then it's just sad and grey and horrible. So love is realizing all of these things and, yeah, wanting to be with that person, hug that person, kiss that person, and live happily ever after. Number 75. What is your most treasured memory? I'd say that one of my most treasured memories is going to a seaside town, a coastal town in northern England called Filey, next to Scarborough, because I always went there with my grandma and granddad, my auntie, my uncle, my sister, my cousins, my mum. And it's always been a tradition. In fact, we still do this every single year. So it's a tradition that goes, that continues through the generations. And yeah, my granddad is no longer with us. He passed away, how long was it? 7 years ago, I think. And he was amazing. I looked up to him. He was my idol in many ways. And I'll always remember him making sandcastles. I'll remember ordering a takeaway at the caravan where we stayed. He used to always call out the bingo as well. And he was a very chatty person, a very charismatic person, very interesting as well, and very loving too. So yeah, I think my collective memory of spending summer in Filey with my granddad and the rest of my family is probably my most treasured memory. Number 76. What age do you feel right now and why? I think I feel older than I am. Maybe not actually. I'm 32. I don't have children, so for that reason I feel quite young still, and I lead a relatively young life. But yeah, when my back hurts or I go to the gym and my legs are aching, it makes me feel old. So I think I feel about my age, early 30s, because if I think about late 30s, then for me that is scary because time is passing so fast. Time is flying. So yeah, I'd say I feel my age. Why not? Number 77. What has been your biggest challenge? My biggest challenge. Decisions. This might come across a little bit strange, but I've never really had any really difficult things to overcome in life. My degree wasn't that difficult. I was studying languages. I did the bare minimum to pass. Maybe I wasted my time, which is why I probably wouldn't go again if I could choose. But at work as well, I've always kind of been in control of what I've been doing. A challenge could be growing my YouTube, which I'm trying to do as we speak. So yeah, I'd say that maybe growing my YouTube has been my biggest challenge, and it's still a challenge because I'm not very good at editing. I don't have a lot of time available, but I try to make sure I'm as consistent as possible with posting content. So I think that's it. The biggest challenge is the challenge that I'm trying to achieve at the moment, which is to continue to grow my YouTube, to reach more people, help more people, and accomplish my personal goals. 78. What is happiness to you? Happiness to me is being with the people I love and not dreading every single day. And yeah, feeling like I'm contributing to society, or I'm contributing to my loved ones. And yeah, I think that is the generic view of happiness. But if I could describe happiness in one moment, it is when my football team wins. Or if I'm in a competition with my friends with fantasy football, if I win this, that moment is happiness. Number 79. What life lessons are important to you? I think one life lesson, which is more of a quote to live treat people how you want to be treated. Because if people are being mean, unfriendly, not nice, then you can just keep in the back of your mind and live by this quote, which is, treat people how you want to be treated. If you wouldn't want to be treated in that way, don't do that to them. You know, don't be a hypocrite. So maybe it's not a life lesson, but it's a very good thing that we should all learn from, and it is just treat others how you want to be treated and empathize with them. Number 80, what do you fear the most? The thing that I fear the most, I think, is heights. So I have developed a bit of vertigo in recent years, and the first time I realized that I had vertigo was when I was in Lisbon with my girlfriend. We were walking up lots of stairs, climbing an old tower, which was like some kind of church. And I remember my legs turned like to jelly as I was going up, and my heart started beating, and I was like grabbing onto the railings, and I was like, oh my God, this hasn't happened to me before. I have never had such a fear of heights. I had never suffered from vertigo in the same way. And maybe it's something I need to face and overcome, because yeah, I'm very bad with heights nowadays. Like, I'm on the 4th floor, and if I go on my balcony, that's no problem. But something higher than that is when I start to really panic and struggle. Ugh. Number 81, what is your favorite joke? I'm going to tell you. How do you organize a party in space? You plan it! 82. What's the strangest food you've ever tried? The strangest food I've ever tried, I think, is kangaroo meat. I've never tried any scorpions, spiders, bugs, none of this. I know it's quite common in some cultures, but I've never tried it personally. So I lived in Australia for a year, and when in Australia, you should try kangaroo meat. And I tried it, and it was okay. Nothing special, but it was all right. It was very tough meat, so you really need to cook it for a long time to make it taste good, or just like grill it on one side and the other side. But yeah, I would never order it. Even if I went back to Australia, I'm probably not going to order a dish with kangaroo meat, because chicken, pork, beef, lamb, it's much tastier. Number 83 is, what is your favorite family tradition? I think our... Number 83, what is your favorite family tradition? I think I mentioned it. Yeah, that's the one that is clearest in my mind, and it is going to Filey every single year in summer. In the past, we always went and stayed in a caravan, so it was very cozy. It was very crowded. We didn't have a lot of personal space, but it was always really good. I'd look forward to it so much, and it was quality time spent with family. And now we continue to do it, but as we're older and bigger, and there are little kids now in the family, we stay in different houses, so we have more space and our own beds. And yeah, it's a precious thing that we do together. Number 84, do you collect anything? No, I don't. There are some people who collect stamps, others who collect football shirts, others who collect, I don't know, jewelry. But I'm a bit of a minimalist, and I like to be able to know that I can pack my bag and leave and move out at any moment. Maybe that shows that I'm afraid of commitment. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't like physical things, materialistic things that much. So as a result, I don't collect anything. Number 85, what is the best compliment you've ever received? Now, I've received a lot of compliments, I'm not going to lie. I receive them on my Instagram and stuff like that, and people tell me I'm a great teacher, and I thank you so much. If anybody's still here watching this video or listening to it, this is the best compliment I can receive, because I always get a bit awkward and uncomfortable if somebody compliments me, because I don't really know how to react. It's a very British thing, I think, that we can't accept compliments. We just change the topic, or we brush it aside and say, thank you, thank you. And I'm very similar. So I love it when people tell me I'm a great teacher. Of course, if people say I look good in any photo or video, I like it. But I think it's more important when the compliments are related to what you do, not what you look like. So if people tell me I'm a great teacher, thank you. I really appreciate it. Number 86. What's the most interesting fact you know? I don't know many facts off the top of my head. What I used to do at the beginning of my teaching career was I'd either start the class with a bad joke, or I'd start the class with an interesting fact. And I'd be like, did you know that the United Kingdom is actually England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, while Great Britain is just the island, England, Scotland and Wales. So, did you know? Number 87. What's the best costume you've ever worn? The best costume I've worn, I think, is a Fred Flintstone costume. And this was last year, last Halloween, more or less. I bought a costume from Amazon. It came the next day. The wonders of globalization. And yeah, it was cool. It was a house party, so I wasn't wearing any socks. I was very comfortable. I looked like Fred Flintstone from the Flintstones. And yeah, maybe I've worn cooler ones, but that's the most recent one that I can remember quickly to be able to tell you. Number 88. What is your favourite thing to do in the local area? Now, I live in Brussels at the moment. My favourite thing to do is probably to go for a run. Because while I live in the centre, kind of close to the centre, I live very close to a really big park. So I try to go for a long run when the weather's nice. If it's raining, it's a big no-no. But I love going for a run, listening to my music. If I'm stressed, this helps to chill me out and de-stress me. So in the local area, if I'm doing it on my own, I like to go for a run. Number 89. If you were an animal, which one would you like to be? It's hard not to say a dog, because dogs have a great life, but let's imagine a wild animal. And I said previously that I like the idea of flying, so I would like to be an eagle, a golden eagle, so I could fly up to the top of mountains and then descend all the way down. I would have a bird's eye view of what's going on with animals, plants, people. So yeah, I think it'd be quite cool to be a golden eagle. Number 90. What's your favourite app on your phone? My favourite app on my phone, I think, is probably Live Score, which is an app that tells you all of the football scores or other sports results whenever you want, live. So that's one, but of course others that I use a lot are Instagram and YouTube, LinkedIn as well. I post my videos also to TikTok, but I never actually respond to any of the messages because I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I just can't get into it. Number 91. What was your favourite subject at school? My favourite subject was sport, to be honest. PE, physical education, because it's the only subject where you actually go out and run and you're not doing homework. So the fact that you don't have homework is a big plus. Maybe it's an obvious answer for someone who likes sport, but apart from PE, I always liked geography as well, because I like to think about the different countries, landscapes, the cities, and stuff like that. And other than that, if I had to choose another one, it would be languages. Spanish, which as I got older, I got more and more into, which is why I decided to do it at university. Number 92. What did you want to do when you were a kid? What job did you want to do when you grew up? According to my mum, what she told me is that when I was a really young child, a young boy, I told her in a little voice like this: "Mummy, when I'm big, I want to be a builder, so I can build you a house that we can all live in. I love you, Mummy." That's an impression of baby Lewis. So apparently I wanted to be a builder, but I'm very bad at DIY. I'm terrible at DIY. So I quickly changed my mind. I would have loved to have been a footballer. And now, knowing what I know at this age, I would have loved to have followed in the footsteps of my father and become a photographer, because he went to different events, sports matches, and took photos, and it's an amazing job. But I also considered being a teacher from a very young age, so there was always something there preparing me to educate. Number 93. What's a skill you'd like to learn at work? One thing that I'm absolutely useless with is paperwork and Excel. Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. I'm useless. I'm an absolute mess when it comes to formulas and formatting. So what I should do, and it shouldn't be too complicated, is do a course on Excels, because I think this would really benefit me and help me a lot. But it's not really my cup of tea. I'm not very good at it, so I'll have to think of something else, I guess. Number 94. What do you wish you had known when you started your career? I wish I had known the importance of videos and personal branding when I started my career. When I first started teaching English, to be honest, I was just doing it to get paid and be able to be independent. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. Now I know that is the case, and I doubled down on the idea of being an English teacher. Knowing that that was my future, I started working more to ensure that I'd be a good English teacher and I'd have a better salary because of being an English teacher, because normally it's not a very well-paid industry. So I wish I had known at the beginning the importance of building my own personal brand and content, because I only started doing this 2 years ago. I wish I had started much sooner. Number 95. What's something you have achieved that you're proud of? I am proud of the fact that I've always had very good feedback. So at Teachify, we have feedback from clients. In my previous jobs as well, we always asked for feedback and evaluations on the teaching. And everybody always liked my classes. So that's something that I'm proud of. If that hadn't happened, I would have probably maybe considered doing a different profession. But given that that wasn't the case, yeah, like, I'm proud of this, that people like my classes. Yay! Number 96, let me double check. What advice would you give someone entering your career field? Probably the same advice I would give myself, which is focus on your personal branding. You will learn everything on the job, but one thing that you cannot really do is make your own personal brand unless you start making an effort to do it and treat that as a job itself. So I think it's the same whether you're an English teacher or anything else. You need to start doing networking, making contacts, meeting people. The more people you know, the better. And the more people who know you, the better as well. So this is something that is underrated, but more and more people are doing it. And I think we should continue to do it. So if you are an aspiring English teacher or another language teacher, start building your brand as soon as possible. Number 97. What's the biggest misconception about your job? I would say the biggest misconception about being an English teacher, at least from people who don't know the industry, is that you have to speak the language of your students. So, for example, my friends sometimes ask me, so you speak Spanish with your students? I'm like, no, they all speak English already, or at least they have a good enough level of English so that I can explain things using English so that they will understand it. They believe that I need to translate things, and you can translate things if it's really complicated or there is no direct explanation, or if your students are a really low level. You can translate things. Sometimes I will use a little bit of Spanish or French with my students, but many people don't get the fact that English teachers as a foreign language use English to teach English. Number 98. What motivates you at work? Motivation is a difficult thing because it comes and goes, and you have to be aware of when you're motivated and when you're demotivated, because when I'm motivated, I try to make the most of that motivation to build up a bank of content and work more and get ahead of my deadlines and projects, because there will always be a decline in the future where you'll be a little bit less motivated. And you can't force motivation, it comes and it goes. But the things that usually kickstart my motivation is, for example, for Teachify, when we are attracting new clients, I am much more motivated as a result. If I'm speaking about my own content, of course, good feedback motivates me more to continue. So the more engagement I get with content, the more I want to keep going. Number 99. What is the best career advice you've ever received? I haven't received that much career advice. I've kind of had to find my own path during my career based on videos, connections with people, but I never really got explicit advice from peers, parents, teachers. So yeah, I think a generic piece of advice is to do what you enjoy doing. There's no point doing a job that you don't like just because it pays you a lot of money, in my opinion. I couldn't be happy if I was a programmer because I don't like programming, even if I earned a lot of money. I would much rather be a little bit poorer, doing something that I enjoy, that I don't wake up and think, another day of work. In my case, of course, I would rather have 100% free time than be working, but I wake up and I'm usually excited about my job and my classes and my content, and I never feel like it's an obligation. It's something that I do mainly because I want to. And finally, number 100. What is the most important aspect of a company culture to you? Yeah, that's the question. And I think it is treating employees with respect and independence and treating them like adults. And this makes me think of a billboard that I saw recently from Spotify in New York, and it said, "We treat our employees like adults. They can keep working remotely." Because there are many companies, big and small, that are returning to the in-person model of working, being in the office. And I think this is a little bit degrading at times if you force people to go back to the office. I think we should all have the flexibility to do what we want, but if you force them, it's like micromanaging and you're on top of them, making sure that they're doing their job. And this is like being a child again. It's like you have a teacher and they're making sure that you're doing your homework. So I think the best aspect of company culture is flexibility, independence, and the ability to do your job whenever and wherever you want, as long as you are reaching your objectives and you are hitting your targets. So yeah, that's it. Okay, whew, that was tiring. I've done a lot of speaking. I've been recording this for an hour and 45 minutes now. So I've been speaking. I'm gonna have a drink because I have run out of water. By the way, this is from Euro 2024. It shows all of the stadiums from the Euros. Interesting cup. But yeah, thank you so much for watching or for listening. I hope this helped you improve your listening skills, learn a lot more about me, and maybe you are modeling your pronunciation to sound like me at the same time. If you have any further questions for me, let me know in the comments. And remembering what I asked you earlier, what do you prefer, dogs or cats? Let me know in the comments. And thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, ta-ra, see you later, ciao! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time.